What's up, everybody? It is Kimmy Coco, your host of Connecting the Dots, your favorite podcast, or soon to be your favorite podcast. We're streaming live on YouTube today, and if not, you'll be watching it later on Innovative Black Station channel. So we're back. Last week, check out our episode. Check out a lot of our previous episodes, because I'm starting to see some of the things that we've discussed before start popping back up in the news, and that happens a lot. Like, I posted something on our Instagram page, and if you have not already done so, please follow our Instagram page, CTD_ATL. And 3 years ago, we were talking about Kanye. 3 years ago. At that time, we were talking about him, kind of having a meltdown. And at that point, I don't think that he had come out and said that he'd been diagnosed medically with having a mental illness, namely bipolar disorder. I'm no psychologist, but based on his recent actions, I'm gonna say a touch of schizophrenia, but who am I? I'm just a little black girl from New Jersey. I'm basing it on the tweets and the erratic behavior, but that could all just be for y'all. That could be for publicity, because he is coming out with a new album. So I don't know. I know a lot of people are huge fans of his music, and so, you want to believe the best in people, and I pray that he gets the help he needs if indeed he does need some help. If not, just leave everybody alone and stop making everybody think that something's up, because that's whack. That is a whack way to promote an album. So anyway, I noticed this morning when I woke up, I saw that he's still running for president, basically. So, he's missed the deadline for a few states, but in some states he has not missed that deadline, and he is continuing to pursue his 2020 presidency. And so he went, was it yesterday? And he spent $30,000 to get on the ballot in Illinois. So he's keeping his presidential hopes alive. He got on TMZ posted an article. Kanye's campaign team hired a third-party vendor called Let the Voters Decide to collect 2,500 signatures to make the ballot in Illinois. So they got the signatures. Usually people that collect signatures get like $2, $3 per signature as an incentive. Kanye was paying them $10 a signature to get on the ballot. So he was determined. So on top of that, he did $30K to get on the ballot. So, whatever. He's still trying to be the president. I don't get it, but hey, would you guys vote for him? No, right?
Nah.
What do you think?
I wouldn't, just because he's too emotional. Like, you just don't,
Yeah, you have to have it together.
Mentally, you're not ready to be a president. Because, like, honestly, the way people didn't attack Donald Trump, I would have expected him to break down by now. Like, and Kanye ain't even really been attacked yet, and he's already breaking down. So
he's talking about his wife having a abortion. Like, it was too much. The meltdown was too much. The meltdown last week.
I think it's like I said. I'm thinking it's back to promotion, because he does this every time it's a rollout. I think 3 years ago, I think it was something when it happened. Yeah, 3 years ago, he had an album.
It was the first, wasn't it the first gospel album?
Nah.
Was that Yeezus?
Was it Yeezus? No, it was. Well, I know when he said slavery is a choice.
Yeah,
that's when the 7 album thing was going on, when Tiana Taylor dropped Pusha T, and that was right before that.
Got you.
Oh yeah, and then he
starts. If you notice, you just got to notice his patterns. He never tweets, but now you seeing him tweeting, and he's active in front of everybody because he has a project coming out. And I'm gonna be all the way honest with you. I was talking to my boy about this, and
Hear Us Roar is the album that came out then.
What was it?
Hear Us Roar.
I don't remember that album, but so I'm talking to my boy. We had this same discussion about Kanye, and it made
On him, So I think that's kind of. I don't
so
think
too.
I don't think he really wants to win.
Oh, of course not. I don't think Trump wanted to win. I think it's just something that
Say, he was the president too.
the male
Right.
ego needs to be fed constantly.
You think so?
I do.
Or is it just them both being Geminis? Does that play
I
a
don't
factor?
know. I think it's a man thing. I think that men just constantly need this, like, you know, I think some are worse than others, of course. You know, some are like ridiculous, which I would categorize them both in that category. It's like ridiculous. But I think as men just need their ego stroked, and they just need to have like things.
I
like
can agree to
accolades
that.
and-
I think that's just a human thing.
Yeah.
Because with the man, it might be the ego. With the woman, it might be something else. So everybody needs that one thing that I guess makes them feel. And as a man, for men, it might be just the ego.
I think it's the same for women as well. I think it's just in a different way.
To a certain extent, I
for
agree.
like
It might be a
man-
little more vain when it comes to women, like vanity wise. Like,
Yeah, and
tell me I'm beautiful.
Yeah. But even so, like I know for a man, it's kind of like you said, like accolades, because I think that's what solidifies you as a man. Like when you could look back and you could see what you've accomplished. I think the woman's
Right.
ego is more so like a kind of like that queen bee mentality, or like having, you know, somebody serve them. It's kind of I feel like the female ego
Like
is
your
fed in that way.
queendom.
Right, like what you can demand, or what you can, you know,
What you can get people to do for you.
right without doing for yourself. You know, that kind of solidifies her
Pampered. Being pampered is a woman's act. Yeah, I can.
I feel like
can
that
go with
kind of validates a woman's value.
Yes,
Just
I really
with
like
men,
it.
I feel like with men, like, not saying that it should, but money validates a man, because
Yeah.
that's what's
Definitely.
the pressure. You have to be the breadwinner. That's what we've been taught our whole life. So
Oh, yeah.
things like that, I can see that being.
I really like it when Jay Black's like, "Do you want me to get you some water?" Like that's my thing.
Yeah.
Because I think that you're right.
Would you like some water?
I would. I really would. I would. That's great. I love that. Because, you know, sometimes I'm thinking like, does he see me sweating or something? Does he hear my voice getting dry or something? But yeah, we are switching topics now. So we are here recording, coming at you live from the home of a home turf war going on in the state of Georgia with our mayor and our governor. Now, you may think, now why would your governor go against the mayor? Good question. I'm glad you asked. This is all about wearing a mask. Mayor Keisha would like for Georgia to shut down for a while, start over, you know, close the restaurants, the bars, the clubs, and let's start over again and, you know, get things under control. Nah, the governor doesn't want that. So Brian Kemp, what does he do? He's taking her to court. Now, if I were her, and one of my homegirls mentioned this, she said, you know what, if I were her, I would have just shut down and then let him take me to court after I shut down. That would have just killed two birds with one stone. We would have gotten everything under control. We would have gotten the virus under control, and we would have gotten, you know, the mask mandate, and then, you know, let him fight that. But no, he went first. So according to this is the latest from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Kemp versus Bottoms settlement discussions hit a snag over mask mandates. The settlement discussions between lawyers of Brian Kemp and Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms seeking to avoid a contentious courtroom battle over coronavirus restrictions hit a snag days before the mediation is set to begin. So if you have not noticed, or if you haven't been following us on CTZ_ATL, the judge, they were set to go to court to hear this out last week. The judge recused herself. Then the next judge recused herself. So they don't want anything to do with it. The second judge recused herself for a legitimate reason, though. I think it was because she, at one point, worked for Brian Kemp. So that makes sense, right? So she didn't want it to be a conflict of interest. She didn't want anybody later on to say she sided with him because she knew him or whatever. So both sides support Bottoms' decision to emphasize the city's Phase 1 rules, urging new economic limits are voluntary and not mandatory, according to two senior officials who requested anonymity to discuss private negotiations. Why is saving lives and potentially, eventually recovering the economy, how did it become such a contentious thing? Like, Why? Why is it that you don't get that if we don't slow the hell down, we're never going to get a hold of this thing? We opened up way too early. Georgia was the first state to reopen. Now, we get like, let me see where we're at now. Okay, wait, let me just keep on with this, and then we'll go to the numbers. There's a deep division remained over whether Bottoms can require masks within Atlanta limits, which is very small. If you think about Atlanta city limits, it's not big. It's not even, I don't even think it encompasses DeKalb County. I think it only the part that's in Atlanta, right? Which would be considered the Atlanta city limits. State officials have agreed to allow cities to require masks on city property, but not beyond. So you guys are good. You guys that work for the city, the government, you got to wear masks, but all of us out here, we just on our own. So what you're starting to see is the private sector, meaning like companies, McDonald's, Target, Kroger, they're requiring you to wear masks because the government won't do it.
Kroger's enforcing. I was in Kroger's yesterday, and I was leaving out. And it was a guy, he was standing outside of Kroger. Somebody walked up without their mask. He was like, you got a mask. And it was like, I don't know what they said, but he was like, you can't come in, so you got a mask. Like, so they really enforcing it at Kroger.
And some people will give you one if you don't have one, but everyone's not giving you one. And that's what I was looking for,
if they had some or if they was passing some out, but they weren't.
If you don't have one, get one.
I know in Walmart it's a requirement too.
Absolutely.
I believe, right?
Thank God. That's where they need it at, right? Atlanta officials want Kemp to remove a provision in his latest executive order that explicitly outlaws mask requirements. Really? You outlawed mask requirements?
Seems kind of...
Giving them leeway to require the use of masks anywhere within the city limits. The governor's office has insisted that cities can't require masks on private property. The lawsuit could have vast implications. More than a dozen cities have adopted mask mandates since Savannah's first instituted requirement for face coverings in June. So Savannah has been doing this mask requirement since June. Atlanta never got the chance to implement it, and he wants to sue her. Why didn't he sue the Savannah dude?
But guess what? You've been saying it the whole time, and this is absolutely true in this exact moment. All power is in the people.
All power is in the people.
What if everybody just start doing it?
Just do it.
Just because, and now what is he gonna say? It's just like...
Well, then, okay, we're gonna get into that in a second. Hold on. So Kemp's office filed the lawsuit in Fulton County Superior Court days after Bottoms imposed a mask mandate and announced a return to phase 1. Do you guys remember phase 1? Mm-hmm. Okay, to me, I'm not mad at phase 1. We can go back to phase 1 if it's gonna save lives. Phase 1 made restaurants stop dine-in services, residents stay home if possible. If it triggered an escalation, they went back and forth. Kemp called the restriction confusing. Bottoms accused him of playing politics. Bottoms has sought to diffuse the tension and called Kemp to broker an agreement. Of course, she offered the peace sign. Officials described the prospect of a compromise as uncertain ahead of a mediation session on Monday. So tomorrow they have a mediation session. One said the negotiation effectively stalled over a dispute, while another said some progress was made toward a potential agreement. And let's just hope they can agree, because this is ridiculous. It makes it look like because he hasn't done this to any other city that has already enforced a mask mandate, that he's just picking on the black lady. For the simple fact that she's the black lady and she's a powerful black lady. Because why else would you pick? And I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say it's because Atlanta is the money maker of Georgia.
That's what I was thinking, and that's what I think this is all about. I don't think it has to do with.
Because Atlanta is the one. It could
be a black and white thing, but I don't think everything is a black and white.
Yeah,
thing.
I don't think everything is.
I probably would say 75% of this is a green thing. It has. I wouldn't say that
Atlanta's the moneymaker.
Yeah,
Atlanta
that's what
is
a lot
where
of this
he
stuff.
works
It's
at.
not because she's a black lady. I feel like if it was a white lady or a white man down here, he would be doing the same thing.
Because he's all about making the money.
Exactly.
What role do you think the political parties play as well? Because I know you said it's probably 75% green, but do you think that political aspect plays a major factor?
I absolutely think it started to become a political thing when the guy that's in the White House now made it a political thing, and he just refused to say that you should wear a mask. Like, he was just like, oh, Americans are all about freedom, and you can't make people do things they don't want to do. But why do you have traffic signs? Like, why do you have stop signs? Why do people wear condoms? Like, you gotta kind of just like think about it. He's saying that because he wants the political lines to be so hard drawn that wearing a mask is a
Republican thing.
It's a Democratic thing. It's a leftist thing. Because remember, in the beginning, he was like, this is fake. They're just doing this to ruin the economy. They're making it out to be more than what it is. The virus is going to go away. If it doesn't go away on its own, it's definitely going to go away in the summertime. And here we are in the thick of July in Georgia, and the numbers are going up every day. So they're going to go back to court on Tuesday. So keep up. Like I said, follow us. We have a Facebook page too, Connecting the Dots, if you're a Facebook type person. Instagram, we have CTD_ATL, and I post and we discuss. And I always like to hear what people have to say. Like, your opinion is it's a green thing. I heard a lot of people thinking that it's because she's black, she's powerful, and he's just going to go against anything she has to say because it doesn't make any sense. But again, Atlanta is probably the moneymaker because it is the largest city.
We know it's the moneymaker.
It is the moneymaker. So hopefully they come to terms with it. He has been saying wear a mask, but he won't mandate it. I feel like all power's in the people. I don't feel like they should have to tell your ass not to go to the bar right now or the club. But apparently, people, like I was telling you before, me and my friend, we talk about politics all the time. And what she says is you can't trust people to do the right thing. I have hope in people. I'm sorry. I think that if you kind of make it...
People are not even disciplined to themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm even a victim of that. I'm not disciplined to myself all the time. So, it's just a human thing. Like, if it's open, the temptation, like the fact, people want to do things that you tell them they can't do anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
They want to be rebellious. So, I think it goes back to ego with a lot of people.
I think y'all should stop taking chances out here. And put your damn mask on. Get some hand sanitizer. Look, I got wipes. I got spray. Everywhere I go. When I walk up in here, I spray things down. I wipe things down. You just don't want to catch it. And it's hard for people to conceive that this virus is airborne and the droplets and the this and the that. It's a lot to try to, especially for people that have no core, right, knowledge of science.
It's like based on that, it's until it affects them, they're kind of just.
So we have those people. So
right.
let's remember when this first started, we had the people. It's fake. It's conspiracy. Then we had it's 5G technology people.
Right.
Then we had it just went on and on and on. So it took months for people to even get. Damn, you know what I mean? It's messed up. But in the meantime, people were like. Dropping. So New York was on fire. So let's go to the numbers. Right now, the New York, remember New York was on fire? Ho, ho, ho. New York beat it. New York is down to like negative, like not negative, of course, because you can't like.
Right, but it's like decrease.
But you get what I'm saying. They're not like anywhere else. They're not even in the red anymore. If you look on the map, they're not red. You know who's now the top?
Florida,
Georgia.
Duh. Yeah.
Florida is. They added 9,000.
I wonder why though.
300 new cases.
Vacations.
Well, I think it has a lot to do. What we're seeing now, people, please pay attention because I promise you, when this year first started, I felt in my spirit that this year was going to be the year that God shows us who people are. Right? You can pretend to be everything you want people to think you are, but until you get in the thick of things or when you're put in a scenario where you have to show yourself, people could think you are who you. God is showing us who everybody is. So what happened is, coronavirus got crazy. New York, Governor Cuomo, great. He did a great job. Look, this is what it is. You got to wear a mask. We're shutting shit down. We're not open until this. Clean the subway. He took care of it. That's what leadership looks like. We don't know what leadership looks like all the time because some people get into the, he looks like, he's saying all the right things. It's what you have to do. So now we see DeSantis. I don't know if you've ever checked out the governor of Florida or seen any of his press conferences, but he gets on TV and he's like, it's gonna be fine. We're doing better. Bullshit. But unless you're a person that looks up numbers and has like that core, and this is why education is so important, because you have to have a core. You have to be able to conceive certain things in order to understand them, right? Like, you can't just go by what somebody is telling you. And that's why a lot of people get jerked.
Do you think also, because, you know, there's kind of that similar message between, you know, Kemp, DeSantis, do you think they're kind of just following the president's lead?
Absolutely. So here's my conspiracy theory. And some of these have been proven. Because like we talked about before, I don't know if you guys remember the Mueller report. Do you guys remember the Mueller report?
Yeah.
So the president was accused of some election fraud. He was accused of asking other, and this is why he was impeached, right? Because he was asking other foreign entities to help win the election, to get him information, to do this, to do that. So allegedly, there are other people involved in this too. So it's like, hey, you're on my team. I'll help you get reelected, because we got the magic computer guy over here that knows how to rig the system. So you won't have to worry about nothing. Just stick with me, you know? I think that's what's going on. Because why would you pledge your allegiance to someone that has never been in politics before as a politician? You know what I'm saying? Not to mention the fact that at one point, the FBI told, which was then the Secretary of State, Brian Kemp, now governor, that the election was being hacked, that our computers were being hacked at Kennesaw State University. And he's like, oh, we're not gonna, he said no. He didn't want to look into it. He wasn't gonna investigate it. Thanks for telling us, but we're good. I mean, how am I supposed to think knowing that? Especially now when so many lives are on the line and you're deciding not to, like, to admit that we should be wearing masks now is kind of like to admit a failure, because if you had done that before, lives could have been saved. To say that we should close down now would be you admitting failure, because that means we should have never opened up too soon. So that goes back to the ego.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So now, I can't say you should do it now because, you know, you told me I should have done it then, but I didn't. So it's like, because they don't have a core understanding. I mean, to be elected a governor doesn't mean that you're like a doctor, like you have to know about science and stuff like that. So when the experts were saying shut down, think about what that was going to do to the economy. They're going to bankrupt the states and unemployment and all that stuff. They did not want to get involved in that.
And again, back to the ego topic and back to how we were saying with Kanye, like Brian Kemp, Donald Trump, what's his name, DeSantis. They don't want this on their record that the economy went down. Again, it goes back to their legacy. They're still trying to protect their legacy. Like you say, they didn't act at the right time, so now they backtracking. And, you know, for them to admit, like you said, if they admit, it's kind of hurting their legacies.
Right, definitely. 'Cause I know even kind of early on watching some of the briefings, it's like it's this kind of urge or, you know what I'm saying, necessity to control the narrative. So it's like for Trump, it's like, no, I'm telling you we're doing a good job. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, don't question anything. It's like, listen to what I tell you. I'm telling you it's under control. I'm telling you this and that, you know, and I think that's
gaslighting.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, and I think they're kind of just, the governors, they're kind of just following his lead when it comes to that. And, you know, also not wanting things to look bad, like this happened under my watch, you know what I'm saying?
I hope that we remember all this in 2022 when it's time to vote.
I think Trump did it so bad that we will remember. But, you know, if you think about it, like, let's just take music, for example. All the bad music from the early 2000s, you don't really remember that. I know.
Right.
Because it was just in that moment.
We have short-term memories.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I mean about 2020 showing us people. I need us to remember. I need you to remember what Brian Kemp is doing in 2022. And there's so much going on right now. I want us to be able to look at, you know, somebody's gonna make a documentary about the COVID thing and all that. You know, somebody's gonna have to, we have to actually go back and look at this in hindsight to get a big picture about what happened. I mean, we're still in the thick of it right now, so we can't even see it from a different view. We're still in it. We're still fighting it. We're still like trying not to get it. So we have to get to the point where we say, what happened? How could this have been prevented? How did other countries get a hold of it? Because remember, we're the hot spot right now in the world. So what are we not doing that other countries did? We are the hot spot. So as of this morning, the Florida Department of Health confirmed 9,344 new cases. Remember, this is like kind of delayed because it takes so long to get your test results back now because the labs are slammed. So this is probably people that took a test 2 weeks ago. So we're kind of like 2 weeks behind in the data. Remember that. 77 people died in Florida. Florida's not that big.
Well, that's why I was asking, like, why do you feel Florida, their cases is crazy like that?
Because they don't have anyone in leadership that's telling them you need to wear a mask, you need to stay home, you need to do whatever you need to do to get this virus under control. They don't have any leadership. The only reason why New York got a hold of it is because New York had a governor. He had leadership. He got on TV every day. People that weren't even in New York were watching his press conferences every day because we didn't have any leadership. Our country has no leadership. Because he doesn't want his hands drenched in blood from this thing, from the deaths, he's like, let the states handle it. We'll give them everything they need. Just like you said, gaslighting. Oh, whenever any state calls us, we give them what they need right away. No one needs anything. We're good. But the states are like, no, that's not what's going on. We're struggling. Our hospitals are at capacity. State health officials in Florida announced that one non-resident death. The update brings the statewide total. This is how many people have been confirmed with COVID-19 in Florida. 423,855 people.
And do you think also, like, because Florida's also just basically like a hot spot as far as, you know, vacations?
Yeah, like Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Monroe counties accounted for 50%. So yeah, you know, Miami's the hot spot. That's where everybody.
And I know even just personal experience, you know, just family members and stuff like that. Like, there's been a lot of, you know, I guess, you know, traffic to that area just because, you know, you have cheap
travel.
Yeah, you have cheap tickets, you know, so people that, you know, usually can't experience these things, it's like, hey, in their minds, it's like, okay, it's affordable now, so, you know, why not? They feel like it's worth the risk.
Yeah, so, and then I think, too, you know, people live together a lot in Florida. Like, there's multi-generational homes. There's people that live with roommates. Like, once you get it in your house, everyone in your house gets it. That's how it spreads so fast. It's not necessarily like, you know, like we're like in this place we're way, way far apart from each other. It's usually enclosed spaces.
Yeah, like